Hey, we're live.
Yeah,
I'm testing.
cool.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Good morning, and thank you for joining us today for another weekly edition of the Tattoo Weekly, where we beam out live from around the United States. Some of us are freezing our butts off, some of us are not, like maybe Jake. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's great to be here. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, Facebook, or Reinventing the Tattoo, just let us know that the streams are working in the chat. Tag a friend who loves tattoos and would like to join us, and let us know where you're beaming in from because we really enjoy seeing all the places, the tattoo shops that you're watching from. So today, to get kicked off, we have Jake back with us. We have Gabe of TattooNow, and let's do a couple little introductions since we haven't seen you for a while, Jake.
Yeah, sorry I missed you guys last week. I tell you what, the last couple of weeks were so crazy. We had family in from out of town that was staying with us for I think 11 or 12 days. So my days and nights got so screwy. And the next thing I knew, I was like, "Hey, it's Monday, it's 10 o'clock. Where are you?" I was like, "Oh God, I'm nowhere close to a computer." So happy New Year. Sorry I missed you guys last week. I hope it went smoothly. But yeah, happy to be back. Happy to kick this year off.
Yeah. I think it went okay. It's all kind of a blur. Woo.
Yeah.
But I remember I did one, and then I missed the one before that where it was like 10 minutes before. I was like, oh no. But that wasn't
Yeah.
nearly as bad. I want to make a special thanks to Jason Leeser, who took over the drunk critique hosting duties with like an hour's notice. And picking up one of these shows, it's a little nerve-wracking, but like drunk critique, oh man. Anyways.
Yeah. That's why there are three of us, right? We're
Voila.
yeah.
The drunk critique, seriously though, we talked about that last week, Jake, when you were gone, and that was so funny. I really enjoyed it. I jumped on for a few minutes just to kind of take it all in, and it was a lot of fun. I know that Jason was pretty tipsy at that point.
Yeah. Those are they have the potential to really go off the rails. I haven't done one in a while, but whenever Gabe first started them, I did the first handful, and I realized that's something I can't do regularly, but it's fun.
Beginning of COVID, we did them once a week for like a month.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait, we're still in introductions, though, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack that.
Yeah, no. So I'm Jake from the Fireside Tattoo Network, and well, what do we do here? We talk about tattoos. We're one of the original tattoo podcasts, and we have several series, workshops, online seminars, things like that. Just our main focus, if you don't know, if you haven't seen Fireside before, is to blur the lines between tattooing and fine art, and to kind of help tattooers make better educated decisions, help clients choose their tattooers a little more carefully, things like that, which we do our best to help the tattoo community grow.
And I think you do a great job of that, Jake.
Well, thank you.
If you don't mind reminding us when you started Fireside Tattoo.
2013. So we started around the same time, within a month or two, I think, of when Gabe started TattooNow. We were right there, kind of.
That was the TattooNow YouTube channel. TattooNow we've been doing since '99.
Yeah. Or no, you know what I was thinking? Not TattooNow. I was thinking Off the Map Live. We started almost at the exact same time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, that's when I started with
Right.
the other ink company that I was with, and I remember seeing your stuff and thinking like, whoa, what is this? Both Off the Map Live and Fireside Tattoo, and it was just really cool because it was literally nothing out there like that at all.
There really wasn't. There was a guy before. Whenever I first had the idea of doing a tattoo podcast, I searched because podcasts were so new. Mm-hmm. And there was a guy named Keith Caramello. You guys may know him.
Yeah,
he was before us. He was called like the tattoo. I want to say the tattoo mentor. And I believe it was just an audio podcast. I don't think he did video, but I think he was on like iTunes or whatever. I guess that was the first place that podcasts actually were iTunes or the podcast app or something. What was that, right, Gabe? Was it a podcast? Where did you first see audio podcasts?
I guess the podcasts. Yeah, it was. I mean, there was like some people that would like put around MP3s or whatever. But yeah, like from what I remember, the podcast, for me, it always came from Apple.
Yeah.
And we were doing like DVDs and stuff, and before that.
Yeah.
So there's always been like a media kind of an interest. And obviously it's the same with you and everybody, really. It's like these things always kind of form. But like, it's fun. It's amazing because like I was doing, like reel streams and stuff, way back in the day, and it's amazing to see how it's come together. And it used to take so much just for people to have it delivered. Anyways, we're going off again. We're still doing introductions.
Yeah, it
And I
did.
have a question. I'll circle back to it in a second after our introductions for you, Jake.
All right, I'm finished introducing. Who's up?
Sure, I'll go. My name
All
is
right.
Lauren. I really appreciate anybody who's watching. Thank you so much. I currently live in Wisconsin where it's bitter cold. I'm with Reinventing the Tattoo and Raw Pigments. With Raw, the thing that our primary focus is providing the most consistent ink available and doing a lot of events and conventions around the world. So that's kind of what I'm into. I started with you guys in the Tattoo Weekly, and it's now been 15 or 16 episodes, and I thoroughly enjoy it. All sorts of stuff. So thank you guys for motivating us to keep going.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I'm Gabe Ripley, a computer geek. I think that'll focus right. And I've been helping amplify tattooers primarily using technology and businessy things, as well as facilitating virtual and real world events that help, I guess, inspire people. I mean, I really do kind of think that tattoos can leave the world a better place, like actually making people feel more complete about themselves or inspiring great things. Obviously could do fucked up shit too if you're not, treating it with a proper respect. But anyways, I love tattoos and technology and business. And then the intersections of all that with like minds is what keeps me staying up late and getting up early to work on all this stuff. And it is, thanks Lauren and Jake, everybody who does watch and encourages it all. Because it's a lot of fun to do, and it's what makes it, like I said, it's what makes it worth it. And yeah, so tattoonow.com is the main website. Since, like I said, 99, we've been doing the websites, and we were like, people were beaming into the forums and stuff back then. And then, yeah, I'm a CTO, kind of the techie guy behind Reinventing the Tattoo. So definitely go and join those courses at www.reinventingthetattoo.com and Fireside Tattoo Network, rawpigments.co.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gabe. My question for you, Jake, was when in 2013, when things were kind of new, what made you want to go to the podcast thing rather than doing like educational DVDs? Because that seemed a little bit more common at the time.
Yeah, I think my goal at that point wasn't so much that I didn't even know that I had that much to teach. So I don't know what I would have put into a DVD. I just thought it would be cool to have kind of shop talk discussions. I was really into home brewing at the time, brewing beer.
Sure.
And I used to listen to a show. It was before the term podcast, I think, existed, but they called it Basic Brewing Radio. It was this guy named James, and he just talked about brewing, and he had other brewers on, and I would listen to their show. And then they started a YouTube channel called Basic Brewing Video. And so they would show little tips on, all types of home brewing things. And I remember thinking that, along with a couple of other things happening around the same time. I think Joe Rogan and Tim Ferriss were just starting just starting to gain some notoriety. And I thought, man, this should be done for tattooing. So it wasn't that I really thought that I had a ton to offer. I just thought it would be cool to like do what we did in the back room at the end of the day, where we just sit and talk about what we worked on, or, drawing for the next day, or whatever, watching judge shows. That's what we used to do. For those of you before the internet, whenever you tattooed early in the day, you made needles and you watched like Judge Judy and Judge Joe, whatever, just the judge shows, court shows.
Yeah. That's funny.
Okay, here we go. 8 years ago, avoiding the most common pitfalls of becoming a tattooer. This is number one.
There you go. That was number one. Yeah, sure was.
Drew Curtis and
that was our video quality and audio quality. We didn't even know to talk into the microphone at that point. You just kind of kicked back.
And second to lead in and go when you're ready.
How many views does this have?
46K.
Sweet.
Man, 46,000 people suffered.
Welcome to the inaugural.
Well, I think
episode.
I think the
first
content is
ever,
king,
the
and when
premiere
you're talking
episode,
about
you mean,
relevant
the
stuff,
premiere
I mean,
episode of Fireside Tattoo.
maybe people weren't really into watching it as much. Maybe they were listening to it. And
Maybe so. I think we were doing both iTunes and YouTube kind of at the same time. But yeah, that was the first one, and that came out in September. I want to say that we shot that in like May or June, and we're just really hesitant to put anything. I just got scared, and I took forever to actually post it. But yeah, you look back at that stuff, and you're like, man, you came a long way. Look at that. We do thumbnails now. Back then, you didn't even do thumbnails.
Do you guys want to roll the intro clip before we delve in too much longer?
Let's do it.
All right. All right, very cool.
It just gets better each time. This time, I don't know why, maybe because Betty White just died. It kind of reminded me of the song reminded me of a Golden Girls kind of thing. But
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was pretty sad. That's definitely sure. But you know,
Yeah.
the most of the entire world had never spent a day without Betty White's being alive up until 2 days ago or 3 days ago. So it's different. I can only hope for myself that I experience something like that, like a really, really long life, and you know, an easy passing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm responding as fast as I can to all the Fireside folks. Lots of people are wishing us Happy New Year. Got another
Happy New
Tennessee
Year.
person on there, Andrew Reject from Alter Ego in Tennessee. Got to shout out another Tennessee
yeah.
guy. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Lots of a handful of folks so far. We got Faith Win Color saying happy.
Yeah.
Oh,
happy
Faith is so
Tennessee.
awesome. Thanks for watching,
Yeah.
Faith. She's really helped me along with some content for Raw and all sorts of like super creative ideas. So I couldn't thank you
Nice.
enough, Faith, for watching.
Yeah, sweet. Well, what did I miss while I was completely out of the loop over the last 2 weeks? Did anything exciting happen in the tattoo world? Because I have nothing to contribute.
There were some ups and downs, I would say, to say the least. There's a few things that we spoke about, a lot of reviews, some stuff from the archives that Gabe pulled out that were super cool. So that happened. Some unfortunate events in Colorado, which we'll kind of touch on a little bit, happened. But yeah, that's a lot of the archives that we reviewed and stuff like that, and the episodes that you were gone.
Yeah. I saw on social media a little bit about that stuff at the shop in Colorado. I'm not familiar with the shop or anyone there, but that was we had something similar happen in Memphis probably 10 or 12 years ago. Really similar. That was, that's terrible. I don't know a lot about it, but the little bit that I know, it just seems horrifying.
Well, I can jump into sharing a few details, respectively, out of the situation is very disheartening. I remember when I started with the last ink company that I was with, we spent about 3 months in Denver just going to every single shop. And I've been into both of those shops, and it was such a pleasant, wonderful, free, loving environment that it just seems so tragic and so unexpected to visualize that type of feeling and that fear.
Mm-hmm.
But
and I think the first thing that I saw was I don't know if it was a GoFundMe or some type of fundraiser for the children of whoever of the artists. Do we have access to?
Sure, I will go ahead and share. If you guys recall, there was a fantastic 2-day seminar from David Heskin, and David is friends with Guy, just a phenomenal painter, as is his wife Aloria. So David is in Colorado, and when he got back into tattooing, Alicia was she passed, but she was the one that kind of got him back into tattooing. So he's definitely forever grateful. So that's kind of how I realized the immense and profound effect that this had on them, and he shared me some stuff. So if you look and you see this beautiful, beautiful painting done, this is Alicia here, and this painting was done by Aloria.
Nice, that's beautiful.
So for those of you watching who are in the Colorado area, these memorial prints of the painting that Aloria had done are available for pickup from Soul Tribe. She said that they have 1,000, or at Hope Tank. There's 1,000. They're no cost. And so the only thing that they're kind of asking is to help cover the cost of printing and mailing. So just absolutely gorgeous, absolutely tragic that has happened. And I also want to share David as well. He kind of showed us some some of the beautiful candles and stuff that was left in her honor. I know that the entire community is feeling it. Just,
Yeah,
it's very sad.
it is absolutely.
That's rough. I'm going to fire up an email from, let's see, I think it was Adrian Lee sent a good one around. It had all the different fund me's in it.
Sure. Yep. And this is Soul Tribe Tattoo. If anyone wants to follow them for updated information, they can at Soul Tribe Tattoo. And also, tragically, these are the faces of all the beautiful souls lost. Danny as well. For those of you that knew him, he was such a great, fun, humorous, loving person. Alicia as well as Alyssa. So the entire tattoo community feels it, sends love to everyone who is affected, to their families. And if you'd like that GoFundMe information, you can find it at any of those outlets.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a rough way to end a year. This happened last week, just before the new year, in between Christmas and New Year. Is that right?
I believe it was on the 27th.
Yeah.
But they are appreciative of the outpour of support from the community. So I think that that's very good to know. Just tragic, very, very tragic.
Yeah. Well, let's hopefully it seemed like there were already a ton of contributions pouring in with the very first post that I even saw about it. They'd already exceeded whatever initial goal that they were looking for. So, and that's the kind of thing that you can almost always expect from the tattoo world. Just no matter what you see at the talking back and forth between individual artists or problems with this promoter or that shop owner or whatever, whenever something tragic happens, it seems like the entire you see what a community it really is, a worldwide kind of community.
Well, so and there were particular types of people too, the positive energy that they had put out there, and again, as tattooers, that it was amplified, and as shop owners, with particular voices, it was abnormal. It is an abnormal amount of support for, really awesome, abnormally awesome people. And I guess the only consolation, or I don't even know if it's consolation, but again, because they touched, so many people in so many, ways, this is the last time, we get to reflect upon them, right? And so, this is, their energies are going to get amplified, through the people that remember them and, pick up and run with the energies and the spirits, I guess. That's, they were awesome people, and the reputations preceded them. I did my, there were the shops that I hung out, or stopped by at before I did the convention in Colorado. And, it's sad to see things get cut short like that for, really no reason, no good reason. And,
and really it was a very long term. I mean, the shop had been around a long time. Did I see something about like maybe the early 90s, or maybe that was just how long?
Started off as a Twisted Soul, or at least one of them. Again, there's a couple different people involved. But they were all, I mean, it's not, I wouldn't necessarily suggest digging into the story or anything, but it was all the tattoo shops were, somewhat connected, and it was just, again, it's worth being thankful for every day, and then also, making sure that we're careful, about, people that we do business with, and that's all I really want to say about that.
I think that if anyone's having troubles or, unsure in their head, I'm sure there's definitely utilize the resources available to have somebody to talk to. I'm available anytime if you feel like just that you want to talk to someone. Feel free to reach out. Yeah.
Well, let's find something positive that's happened in the tattoo world in the last few weeks. What's new in the world of reinventing or raw?
Oh, sure. Reinventing. I know that Gabe can touch on it for raw. I think the biggest thing, and Tattoo Artist Magazine just made a post about this. So there's a lot of confusion. As of today, is today January 4th? Tomorrow. We will be seeing mass changes in Europe, but you do have a year from the 4th. You still have a year to use your existing pigments. So there is not a lot of information about it. And I know with raw, our European line will be launched sometime in the early spring. But I know that it's the most confusing thing that's happened in the world of tattooing in Europe in a very long time.
Because everyone's like, you can't use them after the new year, or after the 4th or whatever. But to your point,
You do
that
have a
means
year.
it's getting enacted, and there's a year of grace to use up the inks. And so, okay, well, that's good to know. That's great to know.
Yep. As for us, we will not be changing our formula, and that's super, super important to us. And when you start to get into different regulated markets and stuff like that, to adhere to those regulations, you might assume that the formulas would be broken down, and then you'd be left with kind of a shitty product. But that's we're not going to be doing that.
I wonder about the existing supply of inks, maybe that it hasn't made it to artists' hands in Europe. That are they able to continue to sell what's existing, or all new sales are out? So if I were in the middle of a big back piece and I'm low on baby blue, I can't even finish that back piece if I don't have enough to get through it at my workstation.
You do have that year, so this year is kind of the grace period to
so you can still purchase. You can still purchase throughout this year.
I would assume so, but I know that there's certain brands that will discontinue selling in Europe. So I'll backtrack just a little bit because it is very interesting. There's a regulatory agency in Germany called CTL, and CTL is the one that tests everything. Before, they used to test the end product, and I remember talking from Mark from Needlejig, where it was kind of controversial. They'll test one batch and have an issue, and then they'll test the same batch again and they won't have an issue. So it's a little bit controversial, but now you had to have been registered with CTL before 2018 to even have them look at your product. But now they're testing the powders, and they're testing each individual ingredient, which is totally unlike what was happening before. So even the entry to have your pigments looked at is completely different. Aside, now the labeling is much more extensive in what you're looking for, and it's so crazy. It's we're regulated as a chemical rather than before, so it's just a lot different. But I know if you check out World Famous has released, or soon will be releasing, a limitless line. So if you look at some of the major distributors, I just don't know what they're going to do with all that product, because that they have shelves and shelves and shelves of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
My guess is they'll sell a lot of it, and if it gets used past the year, it'll be on the shelves underneath as opposed to what's on top.
Yep. Normal shelf life for inks, I believe, are like 4 years, and now after you open it, like on our new label, there's a spot you have to use it within 12 months, which is fair. But for the larger bottles and stuff like that, Europe is going to be, I would assume, 1 ounce bottles, 2 ounce max.
Wow. Yeah. It's funny. I can remember having a discussion with I want to say maybe it was SA Spirit guys a few years back, and they were talking about single-use inks, basically inks already in a cap that you just open the cap and use. And I thought, what a horrible idea. Like, I don't want to have to do that. Like, it seems incredibly wasteful. Of course, it was a different reason altogether. They wanted to measure just how much. They like the idea of single use because you can more closely measure how much product a shopper and artist uses in a certain period of time, easier than 4 8-ounce bottles, I guess. It's just crazy to think about from an artist standpoint, where what would happen if I'm halfway through a massive, or in my case, I'm halfway through 12 massive projects, and if suddenly I can't get what I'm dependent on to finish the project, that really, that throws a real wrench into my working process,
Especially because the pigments, specifically like that phthalo blue, phthalo green, they're going to be different pigments. So I guess my greatest suggestion would be to look at your schedule, identify where those large projects are, and finish them. Unless, the less recommended, hide the stuff under the table, but it puts you at risk, and I don't think, I personally feel like everything that has been used is perfectly fine and safe. We're still using it in the United States, but I don't know how they're going to regulate. Really don't.
Yeah.
If they're going to have people going into shops checking or what.
Yeah. On the bright side, you might be able to get some of your less consistent clients to get on the ball and schedule the rest of their sessions. It's like, hey, look, if you want this thing finished at the same inks that I'm using, which you do, you better get on the books. So maybe we'll find ourselves finishing some projects with some deadbeat clients, that don't show up.
Well, I definitely spent a little bit too long in the comments of that Tattoo Artist Magazine post, because people, I really wish there was a solid voice telling them and kind of calming people down and, giving the right information, like a really good source for that, because there's a lot of confusion everywhere in the world.
Yeah. And for artists, my best recommendation would be, this is a great example of why it's so important to understand color theory, how to make colors. And before you start buying 30 versions of a color, start with the primaries and figure out how to mix it. And you'll have better luck if something like this were to happen here, in the US.
Jake, let me ask you, how many colors is in your standard palette?
I have a ton, just because I bought sets, and you guys have sent me a lot too. But I work with about, I'd say 3 rows of about 12.
Sure.
Counting black and white. Yeah, I set up 3 rows of 4 ink caps, and it's not always the exact same colors, but I rarely am using more than about 12 total colors.
Okay.
And they're, it's typically either lighter, darker, warmer, cooler versions of primaries. So I'll have some version of a red. It might be bright red or magenta. And then I'll have some version of blue, I'll have some version of yellow. And then sometimes I'll throw greens in if there's a lot of green in the tattoo. Otherwise I'll just mix them. And I've done, I don't know the episode numbers, but we've talked before on the show about mixing color. In fact, years ago, that's what I should update. Years ago, we did one where I laid out a few muted tones in oil paint, and I tried to talk through, I laid them out weeks before, and then I started from scratch and I tried to remix them and laid the exact same color on the dried swatch of paint, just thinking lighter, darker, redder, greener, bluer, like that. And just set up a camera and shot it. That episode, I have no idea. It's probably buried in the Fireside archives, but it is back there. It was one of our early technique episodes. It would be worth updating, because there are really just a handful of questions you can ask yourself to pin down a color. And then of course, like anything else, the more you do it, the easier that it gets. You start to just look at, I find myself, and maybe this is a disorder that I have, I'm driving down the street looking at trees, and I'll mix it's like counting or something. I mix the colors in my head. I do it all the time.
Is that how you've always been? Not the mixing the colors in your head, but when you started, were you kind of more of a limited palette guy, or did you just?
Well, I was, because there weren't very many colors. But I wasn't very good at it for years. I didn't understand temperature changes and things like that. So if I were doing finger waves, I just used a blue, a black, and a white. You know what I mean? So I just went from dark blue to the true blue, and then mixed it down with white. And it was actually a guy that tattooed with me named Brian Jordan years ago, who told me, like, hey, you should like grab a teal, and then once you change from the dark side of the blue, like just change the temperature of the blue altogether and switch it. And once I started doing that, I still wasn't good at it, but it gave me, that idea of like, oh yeah, blue isn't just blue. It can kind of wander all over the place. That's what kind of gives it life, that kind of vibration, of moving from more to green, more to red, kind of back and forth. And it's just something that you learn over, through practice, like anything else. But yeah, I think going back to the inks, that's one of the things. We'll probably always be able to get some version of a red and a blue and a yellow and a black and a white. And if we have those, we can kind of make everything,
Sure. So. Yeah. Well, that's awesome, and at least artists can know that companies are putting in a lot of R&D in these types of things.
Yeah, I bet.
But yeah, that's one of the things. And then I think that we talked about like upcoming events that we'll be going to, and all sorts of stuff. We did talk about the Red Tree Live. I don't know if you'll be going, but
I won't. I'll be just getting back from the Star of Texas Austin convention right there, so I don't think I can get to Red Tree Live. But tell me, Gabe had asked about maybe beaming in, but I really, outside of just hearing a little about it here and there, I don't really know too much about what it is yet.
I've got it here. I got it fired up. I'm wondering if maybe we should play a clip first and then talk about some stuff.
Sure.
We'll talk about it. Let's see. I guess what I could do is, well, because we brought it up, I'll play a clip from Jesse Smith from an interview, I don't know, it was a year or two ago. He will be at the show. It's February 5th and 6th at Red Tree True Tubes. 2 days of art and seminars and tattooing, and it's like a little mini convention, like 4 or 5 booths or something, maybe 3 to 5 booths. But yeah, let me fire up this video, and we could watch. This will be the start. It's like the first 5 minutes of the interview. And okay, here we go. This is Jesse Smith here. Oh, hold on. Doing tech as well as, here we go, tech as well as hosting here.
All right. Thanks, Gabe. I appreciate that intro. My name is Jesse Smith. I've been tattooing for about 23 years, and I own Loose Screw Tattoo in Richmond, Virginia. And prior to opening Loose Screw, I've had it for about 9 years. I opened it in 2011. Prior to opening Loose Screw, I worked in about 14 different shops. I worked with Bugs out in London, England for about a year. I worked a couple of shops down in Florida. I've worked out in Texas. And then I've done a lot of shops here in Richmond, Virginia. And throughout working all those shops, of course there were things that I would have done differently, and then there was a lot of things that a lot of those shops had to offer that I really liked. So when I opened my shop, I took a piece of both of those sides. Every shop I worked at, if I really liked something, I brought it into my shop, and if I wasn't really into it, I tried to keep it out of my shop. So yeah, here I am running a shop 9 years. I've had a lot of great artists come through my shop, and I've had a lot of great artists leave my shop. And throughout that journey, it's kind of helped me figure out, what type of shop I want to run and what my priorities are in running that shop, and what type of people I would like around, and trying to run a shop that is not only, lucrative for everybody, but also inspiring for everybody. And I find that when I'm around a bunch of people who are super inspired and motivated, and it makes me work harder. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Loose Screw right now.
Awesome. Let's start kind of right from the beginning. And and if any of the story you've already told in detail in any of Guy's interviews or previously, just let us know so that we can refer people. But for the sake of this point of view, I think we're talking to a lot of tattooers and younger tattooers that are seeking out places, and I'm wondering what would help. It would help for them to understand your story kind of from the very beginning. Did you always start off entrepreneurial? Were you getting beat up as an apprentice? Again, so let's hear it from like a businessy end of it, and then referring to any previous interviews if you can, so we don't recover ground you already have.
Yeah, so I started tattooing in July of '98. March of '98, and I was tattooing out of my house at the time. I was actually in the military, in the Army. So at that particular point in time, there wasn't much entrepreneurial stuff going on. It was just like telling my friends that I tattoo. They'd come over, I'd tattoo them. It wasn't my sole source of income. And then after doing it for a while and realizing that it was going to be my sole source of income, and back when I first started tattooing, the internet wasn't a really prevalent thing. People didn't have many websites. So, I want to say I was probably one of the first artists in Richmond who had a website. So I found that I kind of had to take control of my career, because every time I would go to a different shop or move, I'd had to kind of start all over. So, and having a website, I had a home where people could always find me. And yeah, it's kind of taking control of your own career by, it's kind of required of us as artists to have somewhat of an entrepreneurial kind of backing to kind of help out with keeping everything running, ordering inventory, customer service, paying taxes, all these things that, most people who have a job don't have to do, because they work for a business that takes care of most of that for them.
Okay, that was Jesse Smith, and well, if you're interested, he is always accepting applications. It's loosescrewtattoo.com. But yeah, he's going to be coming up to the the Reinventing the Tattoo live event. So this is happening February 5th and 6th. I guess I might as well just roll right into the screen share here. And this is virtual, so if people want to just beam in, they can. There will be a limited amount of tickets that you can get in person. They're $25 for 2 days. It's basically like a 30-foot by 60-foot ballroom. And again, we're trying to do these like make nice little small events, and Durham's got a great little space here, or great space now, little compared to Hill City. So this is reinventingthetattoo.com/live, and I'm updating with all the final details as we speak. But we'll see here. We've got guys beaming in, Guy Aitchison's beaming in each evening to do a discussion panel with the day's teachers. Bob's going to be coming to do some tattooing and to do a black and gray skull tattoo seminar. Nick Baxter is beaming in to do his webinar. It's going to be a segment of his holistic tattoo focused on advanced layering techniques. And we'll talk a little bit more about all this stuff, I guess, as we get through it. But so Baxter's beaming in, and then let's see, everyone else. Jesse Smith is coming in person. Jillian Marie's coming over from Pittsburgh. Renee from Oklahoma City. Conan Lee's coming over from Indianapolis. Tony from Pittsburgh. Nick also from Richmond. And the schedule's up here. So there'll be things happening on the stage. Derb's got a stage set up. We have here a panel on recruiting. So this will be for tattoo shops that are interested in how some of the other shop owners that are up on the panel are doing their recruiting and interviewing and whatnot. And if you're a tattooer who's interested, then we're going to pick a couple people to do like a panel interview all at the same time, like Shark Tank style hot seat. Let's see, the organized tattoo artist seminars. This is Conan's seminar. He's basically has a lot of, basically digital tools and real world tools to help organize a tattooer's life. A lot of people are always asking about time management, and he was a master of it, way back, from a decade ago. He's always had a tattoo shop. He's also, tattoo release form apps. He's the entrepreneur, the mastermind behind that. And, when I had the tattoo shop and I had an awesome support team that was taking care of the tattooers, he was already kind of doing a lot of the digital stuff that was, facilitating a lot of it. Anyway, so that's for tattooers who are trying to organize their life. Caricature 101, tattooing a skull. Again, this is 2 days jam-packed full of stuff, and it's coming right up in 6 weeks, right? But yeah, we're just turning on the juice actually as of today. This is the second time I think I'm showing off the site. This is a Sunday schedule. Tony Urbanek will be there with his tattoo machines, and we'll be doing some interviews. You could bring your machines there to the coil machines to buzz around. This is Nick's seminar. You'll see, the stage is $25 for the 2 days. Each of these seminars has between $100 and $150. And there's in-person tickets and virtual webinar tickets. There's Jesse Smith's. Let's see what else. Open house and tour. Okay, well, that's it in a nutshell. There'll be painting, art jams those evenings, and pretty excited.
Super cool. So this is all at, I saw a year or so ago, they're moving into a much larger space. This is in their new space, huh?
Correct. This is in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. I've been there a couple times, and the Red Tree tattoo shop is awesome, and the artists there are cool, are great. Fawn will be there from the Tattoo Collecting Podcast. She's there. She's got a great technical setup. Marty Hawthorne's there. Marty,
that's her permanent setup. She's permanently out of Red Tree. So
she was giving me some tips over the weekend of equipment to get and stuff like that, and I'm just like, ooh.
Yeah. That's always fun. We were hoping back at the Paradise Gathering to do kind of a technical like podcasters roundtable. It turned into more of the discussion went in a different direction, which was still good, but I was looking forward to like kind of so diving into technical stuff. The thing is though, like that's only valuable to people who are trying to do podcasts. That's such a small number of, that's
have
really,
your type of equipment or started with that type of equipment,
Yeah. But so Red Tree and True Tubes are kind of housed under the same roof now.
Correct.
Yeah, I've seen some of the podcasts where she looks out the window and you can see into the warehouse.
Yeah. That looks awesome. Looks like a lot of fun. Man.
Well, and again, it's Derb, so he's got, like I said, he's got the stage set up there. He's decking it out right. We got some projectors going, so we'll be able to beam in right. And again, with Lauren bringing stuff and Fawn there, and I'm bringing my stuff, it'll be very techy. And yeah, so there we go.
Jason as well.
Yeah,
nice.
Jason. Oh, right, Jason Leeser's coming.
Mhm.
Is there anybody else that I got to get him up on the site for the via the reinventing? Yeah.
I'm trying to talk in Kier as well because it would be cool for her to be able to go.
Yeah. I could get her right out, but everybody's got it's coming right up, and
Yep. Tony's going to be bringing some machines, so that'll be cool to see and talk to him. And
I want to get some tattoo machine Olympics going, right? So tear down your machine, put it back together, and then tattoo yourself with it, or some sort of fun things. We used to do motorcycle rodeos, and kind of taking some of that spirit and just doing some fun stuff. But
yeah.
Speaking of Olympics, I was at Golden State, and it was just the vibe was just so no offense or anything, but just kind of so low and so boring, kind of. And I was thinking it'd be really cool to go on stage and have like 3 or 4 games where tattoo artists can participate. For example, some of the ones would be like a glove shoot contest, stuff like that. Just to add some fun into the scene. Yeah.
It's funny as someone who's tattooed at conventions for years. You're always like when a tattoo convention is like exciting, like take Columbus, for example, Hell City, Columbus. Like I've gotten to where I'm not a fan of being in their big room with the chandeliers and the main stage and all that. It's a really cool place, but it's very dark and there's always something happening, which makes it hard it's so loud. It's like hard to concentrate. But then if you're just sitting there tattooing, it's no fun for people who are just there to walk around and enjoy the environment. So as a promoter, that's got to be kind of a delicate balance, to figure out to get a consistency with the vibe. I know tattooers are always like, man, I wish they would turn down the volume of that loudspeaker so I can hear my own music, or so. Probably
Paul Talbot. Are you familiar with him?
I know his name.
Paul's awesome.
Yeah, Gabe, I know you know. He was talking to me about the difference between I don't want to say the word, the fill in the blank American shows versus the European, where it's like, in your face, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and loud music. So if anyone's watching, drop a comment if you've been to a European and an American show, and some of the differences in those aesthetic.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough balance. It's got to be hard. I've never put on a show like that. It's got to be a tough balance to entertain people and still make it a comfortable, creative environment for the tattooer.
I'm trying to. Sorry, I don't mean to control. I'm trying to think if this is an actual memory or just legend. But I'm near positive that when people go to Durban, they're like, I don't know, I'm upstairs in the balcony near the back there. He's like, I got my checkbook in my back pocket. I can give you a refund if you want to leave.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The balcony's cool though. Yeah. I like it.
And there's a big difference between like respectfully asking, hey, any chance that you can move, well, and again, to somebody, to your point, it's like, every spot is a pretty cool spot if you make it a cool spot, and if you're worried about jockeying for position or whatever, like you said, you might just end up right in front of the stage with the rock and roll blast. But people do too, and again, part of it is, it ends up sifting out a little bit. But ultimately, for convention promoters, as a convention promoter, like, finding the artists that are really there to contribute to the spirit of the event, those things are all somewhat trivial, when you're there to really, well, like I said, to contribute, to like share with people, to inspire people. It doesn't make a difference where you are, you're there to like really put your best face forward, to do awesome artwork, to bring in, cool collectors to mingle with everybody else.
Yeah. I say I'm not a fan of being in the close to the main stage, but I also will never complain about it. Wherever I end up is where I end up. Sure. They'll never hear me say a word about it. I'll sit there and tattoo and listen to whatever's happening on the main stage. But
my guess is that most people figure it out pretty quick. Like, oh no, actually, I do want to stay here and I'm gonna have a good time. Right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think Derb is one of those convention promoters that, I don't know, he elicits that high level of respect because you can see that he really, really cares. Whereas, that's not necessarily the norm across all convention promoters. And I have so much respect for that because he thinks of every single detail. And it's great. And if you ended up there, that's just one thing, and a drop in the whole pond of things that are happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And he like has signs that lead up there, and you could poster your way up there. And again, sometimes as a convention promoter, also sometimes it's just a matter of having a jigsaw puzzle of a floor plan. I have people that really dislike me simply because by the time that they were trying to get into the convention, the floor plan was full. And, sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it. I mean, I could be more graceful in my communications, of course. But the fact is, there isn't enough, there's a limited amount of space on the floor. And sometimes that's all there is to it. And again, part of it is, as a convention promoter, the people that get the spots that open up are the artists that are not complaining and are happy to contribute, and it's not, sometimes it takes some people longer to get than others, and some people never get it. But.
Another upcoming event that I just spoke to Tony about yesterday is the Rubber City Tattoo Invitational, which is July 29th to 31st in Akron, Ohio. He's got a cool setup, the way he's got the vendor row and all sorts of stuff. So I believe they have their Instagram up. I'm not sure if their website is up. That should be another cool event to check out coming up soon.
Akron is known as Rubber City. Is that true?
I'm not sure where he got the name. I should ask him.
Yeah. What an interesting name. I wonder where that means. I wonder what the history is there. Is that a long running convention, or is it new?
No,
I will pull it up.
Brand new.
Cool. You're pulling it up. Cool.
Okay.
Yep. He was going to put it up on a couple of years ago, like 2 years ago, maybe, and then COVID, and then COVID again.
Yeah.
And now he's got some dates. But he's cool. Like, he's got an awesome how to build a tattoo machine with your basically hand tools, not bare hands, but with hand tools. It's pretty cool. It's like 8 seminars that are like 90 minutes long each.
It's
fun to see people like send in their pictures, and frankly, it's worth just a while. Like, he's like in there like grinding away with his hand saws for like 15 minutes making this shit. It's awesome.
That's cool. Seeing the logo here for Rubber City makes me think maybe Goodyear tires are made there.
That would sound.
Yeah.
Have you been to Akron, Ohio before?
No. I've only spent any time in Columbus. I've never really spent any time anywhere else in Ohio. I've only been there for Health City. Anywhere in Ohio. I've never spent any time in Cincinnati or anywhere else. But I do love Columbus. I love that little that high street area. What's that little that big farmers market kind, or whatever it is, with it's kind of across from the convention. So that place is so cool, man. I wish we had one of those here. I don't know the name of it. I'm not helpful at all whenever I'm trying to explain stuff.
I like to say, I think
there's cool stuff in Columbus. Just go over the bridge and take a left.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, kind of reflecting recently about all the places I've been. When we used to go, literally thousands of shops in every city, pretty much. And Akron and Columbus and all those, they really did surprise me. Specifically Columbus, they've got like a really nice art scene.
Yeah. I've really just been down that main. It's called High Street, right?
Yep.
Am I right with
that?
I
believe so.
And there are a ton of great. I mean, there are galleries, tattoo shops, super cool, like little storefronts. They're like interesting little stores, not generic, at all. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting stuff just up and down that one kind of run. And that convention center is just massive. I'm sure it has to draw so much. I know a lot of times the same week that Hell City is happening, there's like wrestling national championships, like all these like high school or really all age of like competitive wrestlers, like like not wrestling but wrestling, like high school wrestling. And then they also have that's the Arnold's World Championships, which is like huge, that for like weightlifting and powerlifting and bodybuilding and all that kind of stuff. That's a massive convention center. I'm sure that all of those businesses really reap the rewards of that convention center. It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. Well, I don't really have anything to promote, but I did want to say I'm going to be tattooing. I just mentioned it briefly at the Star of Texas, which is down in Austin. It's the last weekend of this month. I haven't even put a post out about it. I don't have anything to do. So if anyone is in the Texas area and wants to get tattooed, that would be like the best way to get tattooed. Just maybe reach out to me through Jake at firesidetattoo.com and let me know, or actually Allie at firesidetattoo.com and let Allie know. But yeah, that's really the only thing I have going on this month. And I've been so bad about posting, what
well, that show looks awesome. And say hi to Shanghai Kate when you're there, and Sean Flynn will be there, and they have a stellar lineup. Maybe when you're in Austin, go if you happen to find yourself at the Oasis, which is a beautiful place that's up on the hill with all sorts of stuff. David Vega and Trent Velo, as well as Andy Foe, are at Devotion Tattoo Studio.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. I've never met David Vega. I'm a huge fan of his work. I should try to do that. I think I'll be tattooing with the guys at, is it Aurora Gallery? It's James Hall, Ty Pilata, Robin Pilata.
Okay.
I think I'm splitting the space with them. And that's kind of how that came about, is they reached out and said, hey, we've got an extra spot if you have any interest in coming down. So, and I haven't been to Austin in years. I used to spend a lot of time there, but haven't been in years.
It's another tattoo hub for amazing, phenomenal artists. Jamie Mahood is one of my favorite black and gray artists in the world, and she's there with her husband or boyfriend as well.
Yeah. It's funny. Everyone you've mentioned are like kind of black and gray realism people, and all I ever think of with Austin is traditional Americana tattooing. You know, if you go to any bar or restaurant, all the bartenders and servers are covered in like, you know.
That's a good point.
It's funny. And I remember whenever Baxter kind of first, I don't know if it was when he first moved down there, I guess it probably was, but he had come from up in Connecticut area, whatever, down there, and was like, man, this is like no one gets my kind of tattoos here. Like all of my clients are coming in from other cities and states. There's no Austin people want like painterly, you know, illustrative tattoos.
10 years later, he's inspired a whole round of people to show up there and kill it.
Yeah. And he's actually, I know we've talked about it a little bit before, he's changed his style to a more traditional approach in the last year or two. He's really got,
interesting.
You know, it's like just his application has become more kind of deliberate, not as layered, not as textured. It looks like he's taking more of a traditional tattooing approach. Ensminger the same way down there. It just became very, very kind of traditional. So it goes to show you'll kind of become a product of your environment wherever you are, I guess. Yeah.
On another note, we only have a few minutes left. I was going to show you guys something that I thought was cool, where you start to see tattooists in more places. And one of these places could be the slopes. If you're a snowboarder, I enjoy snowboarding myself. You can find 5 different artists have collaborated with Gilson, Dots to Lines, which we're all familiar with.
Yeah.
Yep. Fracture, Gray Raven, Real Sea, and Rose. I don't know if I have a particular favorite, but I'll kind of show you a little bit what these look like. And incredible artwork. I've seen in the past artists collaborate on,
click the video.
Skate decks and such like that. Yep, here's a little promo video.
Nice. I love that guy. Dots to Lines is
really
very
unique.
very nice.
Yeah, Dots to Lines I followed for a long time. I love it's really kind of thing. What's their name?
Gilson Snow, as you can see their logo here.
Okay,
yeah.
Oh no, I meant Dots to Lines. What's Dots to Lines' actual name?
I don't remember. I've just.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I didn't know if it was male or female. I just followed. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, I saw this picture the other day. I'm like, oh, geez. Tattooing all sorts of people.
They'll show off some of his work here. Yeah, over here, huh?
I think some of the stuff that like goes from one person to another. Have you seen him like make transitions from one person's body to another person's body?
No.
Really kind of crazy stuff. Maybe it was longer ago, but.
Oh, he's continuously evolving too.
Yeah.
This is cool. I haven't looked at his work in years.
Wow, that's cool. It's cool to see tattoo artists collaborate because you guys are so desirable in your art skills. To collaborate with a motorcycle company, a snowboarding company, it just seems very cool.
Yeah. I saw Steve Moore collaborating with a motorcycle. Yeah, that's crazy. With a motorcycle. I don't know if it's a motorcycle company or what, but I saw just a couple of weeks ago Steve Moore designed something super cool for a motorcycle tank.
Okay, and then if you guys follow Lindsay B, she just recently collaborated with Tuck Footwear. Yeah,
Oh,
super
nice.
cool shoes. I'll order me a pair soon. I don't know how you'd look in these, Gabe and Jake, but
Ha,
Yeah, I'd look taller. That's what
I would fall right the
taller.
fuck over is what I would do. I can barely walk as it is. I mean, I do a lot of walking, but if I don't know.
Not in those.
yeah, it's incredible to see the different types of art that you guys can make in all sorts of mediums,
Yeah.
unexpected
What-
mediums at that.
What's the guy's name? I know we need to wrap up here. What's the guy's name? Bullman Tattoos. Have you seen
Oh,
his
yeah.
Bull Airs? He does like custom Air Jordans.
Oh, those are awesome.
They're so cool.
And his marketing and all sorts of stuff. I'll pull it up for you guys. It's just like,
Is it Thomas Bullman? Maybe is his name.
let's find out. I'm not sure. Here's his tattoos.
Oh yeah,
It's
look at that
funny.
shit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they're
this
so
stuff
cool.
is like everyone's dream. Do you
Yeah.
have the alpha markers here?
Oh yeah. What are those?
I'm not sure if that is what that is, but BJ Betts has partnered with, I'm not exactly sure who, but they have something called alpha markers. And I spoke to him in Golden State about that, and I'll pull it up for you guys. And they're really cool. They have a wide array of different uses. He has, I think there's a few different editions. They call his alphabets, which is kind of
Yeah,
pretty clever.
pretty clever. Oh, okay, he's using them to draw on skin.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's different types, different colors, and all sorts of stuff happening. So if you guys want to check those out, of course, we probably all follow BJ Betts. But.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
You know, there was a while there at the shop I owned that there was some fucking Sharpie reactions, or I don't know. It was so strange. I remember hunting it down for like 6 months to a year or a year and a half, and it was like I asked like 100 artists. I mean, I have a lot of artists to ask, and it was like, nope, that doesn't happen here. It doesn't happen here. But it was like, I don't know what to say, except for it seems like there's something that's somewhat consistent happening.
People were having reactions to Sharpie being drawn with Sharpies.
Yeah, and it felt like it was maybe just one particular color, and I mean, I guess eventually it worked itself out, or people figured it out or moved on. I mean, obviously there's other products and stuff, but I
draw on skin with Sharpies. I haven't had any real issues, but I typically use like the super pale colors that are just barely off of the skin tone for the most part, and then I'll use those little skin scribes to finish them off. I want to say that maybe Guy had mentioned years ago that people were having trouble with red Sharpies, but people have trouble with red everything, I guess, over the years. But luckily I've never had any real trouble. There are other markers that I like more. I love the Tombow markers to draw on skin, but I use them once and throw them away. Even if it's before I've broken the skin, I'm always thinking that I just don't want to draw on one person's skin and then use the same Sharpie again. And I can get Sharpies in bulk so cheap, and the Tombow markers are about twice the cost. So
it'd be so much better if there was some sort of biodegradable capabilities there, or like you could change the insert with something a little bit. As it does seem. I mean, imagine the thousands and thousands of Sharpies just
they just get
one
tossed.
and done.
Yeah, brand new Sharpies, barely used, that just get tossed. I do it all the time. And years ago they made the skin scribes. I'm sure they still do, where you've got like an autoclavable pen and you just pull the card, like the tip in and out, but those draw like ballpoint pens. And a lot of us, I know me, I like to sit with the side of the Sharpie and like block in masses. And so drawing with a ballpoint pen on people's skin, I might do that as a final rendering, but I can't block things in with a ballpoint pen. So
sure, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So hey, I was after we wrap up, I do have the tour of Outer Limits in the History Museum, Carrie Barbett's History Museum. It is 20 minutes, so maybe what we should do is, what I might propose is after we sign off, I can just let it run, and let it run. And that's in anticipation of the 12th. I've got an interview coming up with Carrie Barba about the Historical Museum Foundation. What is it? The Tattoo Historical Foundation.
Tattoo Historical Foundation. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's it's Good Time Charlie, I think, just did a couple interviews around it, and they're looking to create a tattoo museum out there in Long Beach, and they have a pretty awesome set of people on the board, and again, including Carrie Barba, Good Time Charlie. Oh, I'm gonna miss some people. Shui Quintar, Corey Miller. Maybe Jack Rudy too. I don't know. It's pretty awesome. So they're putting together, like I said, a full-on tattoo museum. They want it to be like the destination. So if anybody is interested, look up Good Time Charlie's interviews recently about it. Carrie's going to be on the 12th. And yeah, like I said, we'll have, well, this is here as a, when we're done, I'll fire up the tour. It's like a 20-minute tour that Jenny, her Carrie's apprentice, or now Carrie's a active tattooer, pro tattooer. I don't know what to say. Anyways, her protege, whatever. She's tattooing now. Jenny's an awesome tattooer. She was an apprentice, and she gave us a great tour.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, let's wrap it. I know I've got another appointment in about 20 minutes, so I have to run. But yeah, that'd be cool. Let that run, and then I'll go back and watch it whenever I get back from my appointment.
Yeah.
Okay. Will this thing end automatically? Is that how this works?
I'll end it here.
You'll end it. Okay.
Okay.
Or I guess Lauren will end it, actually, right?
Yeah.
Or I can
Okay.
end it.
Yeah, maybe you, Gabe. Just I've got a couple things going on. I know that right now is a crazy time with the pigment stuff. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm really happy to.
Sorry, it looks like there were tons of conversations going on the Fireside chat, and I missed all of them. But thanks everyone for for watching.
All right, I guess before we sign off, I've noticed on other shows we'll do a typical sign off and where we can find you.
Sounds good. I'll start.
Yeah.
I'm Jake, Fireside Tattoo Network. You can find me at firesidetattoo.com. On YouTube, just search Fireside Tattoo. You can reach out through email at info@Fireside Tattoo. And then if you want to find it, my personal work or learn more about me personally, at Plug Ugly Art is my Instagram.
Sure. I'm Lauren. You can find me at lauren.worldwide. I also run with the owner Raw Pigments on Instagram and all sorts of other platforms. You can find us at rawpigments.co, as well as several weekly shows on Reinventing the Tattoo, such as Ricardo's Drawing Group every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. and the Tattoo Collecting Podcast every Thursday at noon.
And I'm Gabe Ripley, TattooNow.com. I've been helping tattooers make better tattoos via inspiring experiences, both virtually and in the real world, and through technology and business, all that stuff. TattooNow.com, GabeRipley.com. Sometimes I get to pack up the cameras and go to really awesome places and do some editing. So this is, like I said, we're going to sign off with a video of tour of Carrie Barba's Outer Limits. And thanks again for watching. It's very fun to be doing all this stuff.
Hey, might I add, guys, we made it through the end of the year. We weren't sure if we were going to keep doing the weekly show, but I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, me too. It's great.
Agreed wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
Cool.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
And actually, it is because people have been telling us they've been watching it and enjoying it. So please continue to do so, not because we need our egos stroked, but because it actually helps us continue to do these things.
Right. Lets us know whether it's worthwhile. Have a good one.
Cheers. Oh, sorry. Is that looking good now? It is. Okay.
You might need to just turn your video off when you do the share. That's all.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, because we are hosting, teching, computering, all this stuff. Here we go. Cheers.
Gabe, can you turn the volume up?
Yeah, and it feels like maybe it wasn't, was it not sharing there maybe? Here, let's give this a shot again. Thanks for bearing with us, everybody. What are we doing? Okay. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm Carrie Barba's apprentice, and this is Outer Limits Tattoo in Long Beach. So a little bit about our shop. This building was opened in 1922. It's called the Sovereign Apartment Complex. It started out as an apartment complex, and it still is an apartment complex today. This area is the basement of the apartment complex, and tattooing has been happening here since 1927. The size of the space is the size of 7 condominiums. We are the only original structure left from the Pike amusement area, which was an area in Long Beach that was open from 1902 to 1979, and I can show you some photos of it. So these are some images of the Pike Amusement Zone, and the Pike was essentially just an area where families would come and have fun. It was known as the Coney Island of the West. There were roller coasters, there were carnival attractions, there were games, there was even a bathhouse. It was on the beach. The roller coaster was actually right over the water, so people would go to the beach, just have a good time. Tattooing started happening on the Pike in the 20s, and again, specifically in the shop in 1927. It wasn't a successful business at the time because tattooing just wasn't really mainstream or publicly known about. So if you got tattoos, it was usually in secret. If you openly got tattoos, then people really frowned down on you at the time. But eventually that changes and tattooing becomes huge, and part of the reason why, I can show you an image over here that's always kind of fun to show. Okay, so this is a picture of our building in 1924. That's it right there, and so we're at the very bottom. This is where the water was at that time, so you can tell that it's a lot closer to the building than it is now. Now they have since pushed everything back since 1940. They installed something called a breakwater, which is a 50-foot wall. It really just does that. It's just a wall that pushes everything back. And what they did that for at the time was we had a shipyard in the 40s, a naval shipyard. So all the Navy would come in, and that led to all the sailors coming onto the Pike and getting tattooed. So after the 40s, there became a big boom of tattooing on the Pike. It just became a huge success. Yeah. So at the top is Lawrence Lee McKeever. He worked on the Pike from the 20s to the 50s. He's actually one of the earlier known tattooers on the Pike. We found him through the city directories. Other than that, it's hard to find any mention of him. And we actually found that image from his, I think, great nephew had posted it online. And then underneath him is Frank Julian. He worked on the Pike as well for a short time. I believe that his wife was Alice Julian, or known as Alice from Dallas. She was a circus fat lady who weighed about 600 pounds, and she also worked on there as a circus attraction. Below Frank Julian is someone that is very well known as Huey Bowen. Below Frank Julian is Huey Bowen. He was great friends with Burt Grimm. Eventually, he and his wife, who was known as Painless Nell, owned I think a small chain of tattoo shops in San Diego. They were a force to be reckoned with. He worked on the Pike for a short amount of time, I think only from like 1929 to the 30s. Underneath him is Frederick William McKee. He worked on the Pike from the 1920s to the 1940s. We don't really know much about him other than just seeing his name in the city directories. Below that is Harry Vivian Lawson, worked on the Pike from the 40s to I think 1950. I believe he passed shortly after working on the Pike, but before that he was also very known. He also did tattoo removal on the Pike as well.
What kind of removal?
We don't know. He had his own secret formula. So a lot of tattooers on the Pike at the time would do tattoo removal as well. You know, and then during the 40s, there's also doctors who were doing it, but they would just cut the skin off. So, you know, I'm assuming that whatever they did on the Pike was probably some type of concoction that was made with like lime juice and salt. Typically, it's something like that, but we don't know. He said it was a secret. So, below that is Frank Martin. He worked on the Pike from the 40s to the 50s. He was first a circus attraction turned tattooer. After that, Jack Julian, he owned his own shop on the Pike in the 50s. Don't know much about him either, unfortunately. And then below him is Lawrence Walter Duff. He's also known as Duffy. He worked on the Pike from the 40s to the 50s. This is the only photo I've ever seen of him, and I found it in a Long Beach newspaper. I believe it was Long Beach Press Telegram. There's not much that I've read about him that was good. People say that he was a really bad, like, sidewalk salesman, and his tattoos were awful as well. But that's what they say. Tattooing became very popular on the Pike. This shop actually became the most popular shop to come on the Pike, and the reason being was someone named Burt Grimm. Burt is the most famous tattooer to come out of the Pike, as well as the shop. This is him right here. People think that he owned the shop from the beginning, but he actually only owned it in 54 and owned it for about 15 years, till 69. But yeah, Burt came in, took over the shop in 54. By 56, he owned 5 of the 12 tattoo shops on the Pike, which is very impressive. His only major competitor on the Pike was someone named Captain Jim Malonson. So you came from either the Burt Grimm family or the Jim Malonson family. A little bit about Bert. People say that, or it's been rumored that he learned to tattoo from his father, or that he ran away with the circus when he was 15 and learned to tattoo there, and the rest is history, right? I believe that it's probably a combination of both. So while he was tattooing here, he was the best self-promoter. He became famous by just saying that he was the world famous Bert Grimm. And what he would do is he would tattoo people about 2/3 through the tattoo. He would sit back, throw his suspenders on, put a toothpick in his mouth, and he would tell them, okay, now it's time for my famous 10-minute speech. And from there, he would tell them these crazy stories about how he tattooed Bonnie and Clyde, Pretty Boy Floyd, and no one really knew if they were true or not, but they were so illustrative and like whimsical that people loved it. And throughout the 10-minute speech, he would also tell them that he was the greatest tattooer in the world. And eventually that just caught wind and everyone was like, I want to go get tattooed by the greatest tattooer in the world. So yeah, we believe that his wife tattooed as well. There's not really evidence of it. She was always photographed in her white smock, which you really only wore if you tattooed, and she was with him since 1931 till they both passed. So it just seems like, you know, kind of no doubt that she probably tattooed. There's a photo down here where it looks like she might be tattooing. However, people do debate that you never see her touching the needle to the skin, so was she really tattooing? So Bert owned it until '69. After that, he sold or gave the shop to his nephew, Bob Shaw, and we have a photo of Bob right over here as well. So this is Bob Shaw. That was Bert Grimm's protege and nephew who eventually owns the shop after Bert. So the shop stays in the Shaw family until Carrie took it over. What happens is Bob owns it. He eventually passes in 1993, unfortunately, so then it goes to his wife, Wanda. Wanda passes in 2002, so then it goes to their sons, Larry and Bobby, who were already tattooers in Texas. They decided they wanted to close the inheritance and sent an eviction notice to the people working here at the time. Rick Walters, who was managing the shop since '77 until the end of it, approached Carrie and told her that he felt like she would be the one to carry the history on. At the time, Carrie already had other shops, and the commitment seemed a bit too sudden because she already had Anaheim, she had Orange, and she had Costa Mesa. So she passed on that, but one day she drove by and she saw that the shop was permanently closed, and it was like that for 2 days, and she decided she had to do something. So from there, Carrie sells everything, decides to purchase the shop, and as I said earlier, the space is 7 condominiums, so that meant she had to purchase all 7. Eventually she sold her house because she decided that she could always get another house, but she couldn't get another one of these shops. Since then, it's been her duty to carry everything out and to continue the history. We renovate the area all the time to try and just, you know, keep things fresh and learn more as we go. And I can show you some other images as well from when we picked it up, because it looked vastly different from what it looks like now. As I mentioned earlier as well, there were a bunch of different walls because the way that this area was set up was it was arcade style. So even though tattooing started happening here in 1927, it wasn't the only business that was happening here. There was a dry cleaner, there was a barber shop, there was a fortune teller, and every business had their own little front door in here. So we knocked down all the walls when we came in, and I'd love to show you photos of how the shop looked when we got here. So this is just the condition of the shop and the way it looked when we took it over. These photos were taken by Carrie's daughter, Nakia. This is at the end of 2002. What we did was there were a bunch of different walls and different sections, and we knocked them down. There were different things that also needed to be updated in order for us to reopen the shop. So the shop doesn't actually reopen for another 3 years until about 2006. It was so many different things that the city was fighting Carrie over. They were as simple as, you know, installing new plumbing that would somehow fit in with the old plumbing, because again, the building is from 1922. Things like that were just not working out. There wasn't even a bathroom in here. We since now have 2 bathrooms. The electrical, there were all these different obstacles that Carrie had to jump over. We knocked a bunch of walls down, so there were these little weird hidden sections one of the walls that we knocked down, we shined a light in and we found 3 of these in there. What this is a storefront window. So usually you'd be able to look behind it, but we have since mounted it onto a white vinyl in order to get it out safely and intact. What had happened to the other 2 was they were smaller ones, but they didn't make it out. They're gone. So we're lucky that we still have this one. This we estimate to be from the 1960s and hand painted by Bert's nephew, Bob Shaw. This is a photo of Bert's wife, Julia, in front of the shop in the 60s. And this over here is what those storefront windows were. Since then, they have been retrofitted and cement has been poured in them, so they're just a normal wall now, normal walls. But that is where the storefront windows were at the time. And again, you could see through them too. The way that they used to ship everything in was in these 55-gallon industrial vats. They would ship Vaseline and ink powders in here, and then, you know, with the ink powders, they would mix them in the back. But what we have here is a vat of Vaseline that we have not disturbed at all. If you want to take a look at it, I can open it up for you. But they used to just scoop it out in plastic containers, you know, so that they could put their acetate stencils on, or for their clients when they were tattooing. It's pretty gross. But yeah, we still have that. Okay, so we knocked another wall down. We didn't know what was in there because the section looked like maybe it was a water heater or something, but when we took it out, it was a safe. We don't know what's in it. We'll probably open it in 7 years on the 100-year anniversary, so maybe we'll live stream it or something, but it'll be fun. Yeah, everyone's always like, how come you guys don't try to find out? But I think the anticipation's kind of fun, right? You know, if I could dream what's in it, I would love it to be photographs. Yeah, I would want it to be photographs or something that we couldn't get any other way, because money comes and goes, right? But the history of it, if we could get something that just tells us a little more, I think that would be really wonderful. As I said earlier, the Pike was open from 1902 to 1979. One of the earlier tattooers on the Pike, who is also very well known, is someone named Owen Jensen, and this is him right here. He worked on and off at the Pike throughout his whole career, and then at some point he comes back and he ends his career there as well. In 1976, at a shop just a hop and skip down the way, some hooligans come in and they beat him up for $30. And during this time, the Pike was already kind of diminishing, so it feels sad to say that as that legend passes, the Pike is also, you know, essentially gone. It's very different from what it was then, but since we're the last remaining structure from it, I hope that we can always keep it alive, because that's Carrie's mission, and we're here today. What Carrie has cultivated at our shop is so special. Literally, this is free to the public to come in and look at any time. So we get people from all over the world visiting. We love it when people visit. We love to share this with you, because at the end of the day, tattoo history is history. It's important. So please come by anytime. Yeah, we'd love to have you. Our address is 22 South Chestnut Place in Long Beach, California.
Oh, hello. Am I back? I am. Okay. So that was the tour of Outer Limits Historical Museum up there in Long Beach with Jenny. She's an awesome tattooer now, so you should check her out. Check out all of the people there at Outer Limits. And well, thanks again for tuning in, and we will catch up with you all in the future. Okay, I'm gonna click the buttons now, please. If you appreciate the show, share it with your friends, and yeah, thanks again.